I'm surprised that someone is actually watching my channel, so thank you. And just a short introduction to myself. I was born in China and majored in Chinese studies, and I love language very much. That's why I started this channel to share with you the stories and the meaning behind Chinese language and its culture. I know there are a lot of Chinese learning tutorials or videos available on YouTube. That's why I'm not doing that. Today's video, I'm going to share with you the Chinese textbooks that are used in China. So being born as a Chinese doesn't mean that you are gifted with Chinese speaking ability. Like my mother tongue was a Chinese dialect, it was not Chinese Mandarin. So I started learning only when I was 7 years old. Yeah, these are my textbooks that are used in China. So with just some side information, China is practicing 9 years of compulsory education, meaning the education itself is free, but you have to pay for the textbook. But the textbook they usually cost around $5 or $6, $7 per book, or renminbi, so it's less than $1. Let's take a look at the cover. It is marked with tapes. That's what we do when we first got our book. Usually, either you tape it, or wrap it in paper or plastic. That was to protect the book from tearing. And it's our study fashion. You can find a variety of products on book cover. The first chapter you will see is Hanyu Pinyin, 6 vowels, 21 initials, and 4 tones. Hanyu Pinyin is very important when you learn Chinese. You must master it so that you know how to type, you know how to check out dictionary. And interesting fact is that not all Chinese know how to use Hanyu Pinyin. Like Chinese in Taiwan, they use a totally different system. Is 注音符号. 注音符号 was invented in 1912 by the Kuomintang, the past ruling party of China. And after they moved to Taiwan, Chinese Communist Party, they developed Hanyu Pinyin in 1950s. So that's why Taiwan and mainland China, they use 2 different systems, 注音符号 and Hanyu Pinyin. So Hanyu Pinyin is a romanization of Chinese. It's much easier for you to learn. And 注音符号, it looks more like Japanese. It's really hard, like at least I can't. So when you go to Taiwan's KTV, you'll find that you can't even find the songs that you want because that's how the screen it looks like. And then how does a Chinese learn Chinese before Hanyu Pinyin or 注音符号 was formulated? In Han Dynasty, people learn some basic and easy words and use them as label so that you find this word to replace the sound of the other one. But it's still not really useful because you might encounter some rarely seen or rarely used word. Then you use 反切. 反切 means you take 2 words, you get the initial from the first one, and then you get the vowel from the second, combine them together, and you get the sound of the words that you want. So in my textbook, the first word that I learned is number. So 1 3 5 7 9 2 4 6 8 10. After we learn our numbers, we will move on to hieroglyphic words. It means that they take the shape of the things that they represent. They are usually radicals, so it's very important for you to learn this because they are root words. And then they combine with other words to form more complex words, and they give meanings to them. And then you follow by the body parts, directions. Now is the first text that we learn. 我是中国人，我爱五星红旗. means that I am a Chinese. I love Chinese flag. We love study. Yes, Chinese love study. And you might be curious of our homework. So our homework is usually memorize the whole text. 背诵课文. You will have to go to the teacher one by one and recite the whole text to the teacher. You will be punished if you can't. The trick to Chinese learning is really memorizing. Until now, I can still remember most of my primary school texts. After you complete your first term in primary 1, you will be able to master 160 words, Chinese characters. And by the time that you finish your primary 1, it will be 440 words. And after 6 years of primary school education, you should be able to know around 2,500 words. And by the time that you complete your 6 years of primary school, you'll be able to know around 2,500 Chinese characters. So as a foreigner, when you learn Chinese, by the time that you reach 3,000 words capacity, that means you are like an average Chinese. You can communicate, you can read newspapers. Yeah, so 3,000 should be the aim for Chinese learning.